Hello, I'm Martin Mercer.
And I'm James Mastriani.
You've never heard of us.
We're two Brits who grew up in North London and have had varying success in the film and television industry.
In our ever-advancing age, we find ourselves on
the wrong side of Hollywood.
In our series of podcasts, we'll share our experiences of what it's like being a British bloke living and working,
Or not.
in the biz.
We'll discuss everything from fish and chips to things that wind us up.
So stay with us, it's all uphill from here.
This podcast may contain strong language. If you're of a sensitive nature or easily offended, we invite you to, as they say in Blighty, jog on.
Thanks to our dear listeners like you, the Wrong Side of Hollywood podcast is made possible by donations from our Patreon members.
Whether it be a one-off or a generous monthly contribution, why not consider heading over to patreon.com/the wrong side of Hollywood.
There you can become a member and have access to behind-the-scenes videos and other exclusive content. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the Michael Sorich Interview.
Yeah, last we heard he was about to get into trouble for impersonating his school principal.
Or was he? Let's find out, shall we?
So at what point in your life did you realise you had a talent for doing different voices?
Oh, much earlier. Much earlier. I was imitating the principal when I was in second grade. You know, because we'd hear him on the morning announcements.
Right.
This is the principal. He sounds like that. So I was in the back of the class going, and the teacher goes, Michael, I want to see you after class. Everybody's like, oh, shit. Oh, you're in trouble. Whoa. So after class, I waited. She goes, I heard you doing an imitation of the principal, and it was actually quite good. How would you feel about going on for the morning announcements over the intercom and doing it for the whole school? And I was like, and, you know, I didn't have the confidence. I thought, oh my God, this is insane. Are you kidding?
But that's great. So that is what you need. You've got a mentor, right?
Right.
Yes.
She did. She was great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So for the people who are uninitiated in the American school system, how old are you in second grade?
Oh, I was 7. I was 7.
Oh, wow.
So I got in there and I went on the intercom and I thought, okay, this is my big chance. So I'm gonna lay a little something extra in there. And at that time, the newsreader that everyone knew was Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite.
Cronkite. I can't even say it right because I used to make fun of it. Cronkite. This is Walter Cronkite. Right?
Was he an announcer? For our
he was a
three
newsreader.
people in Potter's Bar in England.
He was a newsreader for CBS,
Okay.
which at the time was the most revered. They had a very young Dan Rather.
Right.
They had Charles Kuralt. They had a lot of...
It was very well known.
Yeah, and very trusted journalists, you
Yeah.
know. And that's the way it was November 10th, 2023. And he also did a whole series for educational television called You Are There. And he'd take you to like places in history. It was like educational films you'd see in school. Yeah. So I went in there, I went, this is Walter Cronkite here. And I did a little bit of that. And then I did the principal. And then I came back. Everybody's like, where were you? You're late. And I'm like, no, that was me on the intercom. They're like, what? Really? That was you? That's what it hit. That's why I went, I like this getting attention thing.
Right, yeah.
And that was
Absolutely.
it. That was about it.
So were you influenced by anybody? Or was it all from inside?
No, I don't think everyone is influenced by someone. Come on, of course. You know, there are people that you love to watch. When I was a kid, now that we know that there's full disclosure on all these people that we used to love, we found that most of them were total shits.
Right.
But, you know, I was a big Jerry Lewis fan. I loved Buddy Hackett and Mickey Rooney. They did a couple of things together that were very funny. I loved Don Knotts, you know, The Incredible Mr. Limpet. What was the other one? The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. Those movies, yeah.
Right, okay.
Those movies were like really big.
And they kind of influenced you a little bit?
I think they did. And then, of course, I was listening to Bill Cosby. I was listening to all those albums when those came out.
Right.
And I was really actually big on David Fry.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing that held David Fry back, unfortunately, was he was incontinent. He had a bad bladder. So you could go out and he could do about 4 minutes of his...
I can relate.
He could go out and do about 4 minutes of his act, because I actually met a guy later who used to come out when he had to go pee. And then you'd like come out and tumble and stark for him while he would go to the bathroom, then he'd come back out. And they literally would have like a bucket right off stage because the guy, he really had a problem.
Right.
But oh my God, his imitations were fantastic. So I think a lot of my influences, honestly, were records.
Okay.
They were regular because, we were in the hinterlands.
Right.
There was Ed Sullivan once a week.
Okay.
With Wayne and Schuster. Wayne and Schuster were great, okay? So that was it. I was listening to albums and, National Lampoon Radio Hour, that stuff I used to listen to religiously. And all those people ended up on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And what other ones? Oh, there's The Whimsical World of Irving Taylor. If you've never experienced that, you need to. He did all these great songs.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Also,
When the Crabgrass Blooms Again, who can forget it?
I was talking to James about this earlier and the public awareness of voice artists. And I was thinking, when I used to love the Muppets, for instance.
Oh, Frank Oz. Wow.
Yeah. And then when I saw Star Wars and met Darth Vader and were aware of this voice, James Earl Jones.
Oh, my God, what a voice.
You've mentioned those influences that you've had. Was there any time where you were like, hearing somebody like the James Earl Jones voice or something like that you were like, right, I really love this and this is where I want to focus, rather than maybe being in front of the camera or something?
I think, it's funny. I had a therapist once tell me this, which is you don't get used to what you're doing until you do it for a while. And it's kind of like chocolate cake. After a while, you start to like it. And that's how it was. First, it was kind of uncomfortable. And then I would do school plays and stuff. And I was always doing that. And I was always trying to perform in front of the class. I was always looking for approval. I was always looking for approval. That's what it was. I came from a background where my dad was a pretty big alcoholic and my mother was a drama queen. So whenever we'd go anywhere publicly, he would act up. He would set her off. She would just go fucking nails and tongs, hatchets after him. And everyone that was there would be very uncomfortable.
Right.
And then what I would do is I would go, hey, look over here. And I'd do something funny. It would break the ice. It would break the tension. And I got used to being that person, having that function in life of being like a mascot.
Yeah.
Where people go, oh, look, it's the mascot or it's the clown. Oh, good, now we can relax and not think about that ugly fucking scene. Because my parents' marriage was basically the end of Act 1 of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf every night.
Right. Oh, wow.
And that's, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
That's rough. So I learned to, in a sense, help people disassociate and help people get out of not just their uncomfortableness, but out of their pain. And that's always what I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to help people get out of their life long enough to have a laugh and relax a little. Because,
I think that's great.
the world can be very bleak.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do this as well. It's more, we don't really talk politically here.
No.
There's so much of that. When you did the Power, my son loves Power Rangers.
I was so lucky on that. That was all Scott Page. God bless Scott Page. Scott Page was this wonderful guy, and he was a great musician. And he was
he
just
did a
wonderful
lousy English accent, though.
Yes, that is true. I never said he did. I never said he was a good voiceover person, but he was a very excellent musician.
Yes.
And he got put in a place of power at Chaim's place, at Chaim Saban's. And he would give people opportunities. Yeah. And at his funeral a few years ago, God rest his soul, Scott, if you can hear me, God love you, man. You helped us all. You're such a generous guy in that way. He would give you an opportunity to do whatever you wanted. Hey, I think you could do these voices. Why don't you come in and And that's how it would work with him. And he did that with production people. He did that with a lot of different kinds of people, giving them all opportunities, as Chaim would do. Chaim would give you great opportunities. And unlike Disney, he would pay you.
Right.
In the early days, I'm sorry to say, but that's true. I mean, Disney would give you all kinds of responsibility, but they don't want to pay anybody.
Right. Yeah.
And a great story about that is I was working on a show called Zoog Disney. We're talking about 2003. It was one of the first shows that interacted with the internet. Disney, always being as savvy as they are, they decided we're going to do this show, and it's going to be on television, just little snippets, but go online to Zoog Disney and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Well, the first couple of weeks we did it, they thought, oh, maybe we'll get 50,000 hits. The first weekend, they did 156,000 hits from kids at home in 2003. Not everyone had a computer at that time.
Wow.
And then they went, wow, we're on to something. And so we did this show for a while, and they'd keep bringing in these directors. They weren't skilled voiceovers like, here, go try this. And it was always just terrible. And each one of them had a shelf life about, I don't know, anywhere from 2 weeks to like a month. That was it. And we were doing this all the time. So finally, we got this one guy, and this guy comes in, and he's got his glasses, and he's very quiet. And he appears to know what he's doing, and he's really paying attention, and he's understanding it, and he's making the right kind of notes. He's going, well, let's go back and run that again. He's very calm, very grounded. And that was Rian Johnson, the guy who directed Star Wars and wrote. Yeah,
oh, really?
And that was his start.
Huh. Wow.
Really?
And he had, and just about that time was the same time that he talked Joseph Levitt and Judy Blume into doing Looper.
Right,
Okay.
which I love.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one.
It's excellent.
Hang on, didn't you work on that?
No.
Oh, why do I think you
But I'll
worked on-
take the credit,
Okay,
James.
fair
Don't
enough.
miss you.
Carry on.
No, I didn't work
All
on
right,
it.
well, I love
Michael's
that
eyes
one.
is bulging and I have to
I kept trying to
them.
keep in touch with Judge with, yeah, you know, Ryan, if you're not doing anything, how. So,
But you can recognise that when somebody comes in. I mean, I've had this in my work. When you meet a director, like on Lockie, Kate Herron, she was prepared and she had notes and shot lists and she had photographs. And you don't get that a lot, I hate to say it.
you don't.
And it's just so nice.
isn't it? It's like that one phrase that Ted Turner uses is really true. It's like lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Right.
And that is true with people that are truly great at what they do. That's what it is.
Mike, I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
You eventually parlayed work into directing voiceover.
Yes, I did.
And I've watched you work because we've worked together.
Of course, you were a fantastic producer for me.
bless you. That's very
you
kind.
were. No, you were. Come
Say-
on. We
say
did
that again for my
Battle
fans.
Beat 'em on. We did I Dot and Jump.
Yep.
We did Girls Gone Wild. Oh, no,
Yep.
that wasn't you.
Wait, what?
So how was he?
No,
Come
but
on. How was
hang
he?
on, hang
Really?
on. Before we go into that, I just want to say, was everything you learned doing voiceover work prepared you to direct? Because you knew, I need a different intonation on that. I
Right.
needed
Well, I think a
different
lot
delivery.
of that, believe it or not, wasn't just the voiceover work. It was doing all those plays.
Right.
Doing all that theater. And that's why it really drives me crazy. People say, well, I'm going to be a voiceover artist and I have no theatrical background. I don't know anything about vocal production, but hey, I'm going to do that. And maybe they get one or two good things that are within their vocal range. And now they think they're like great voiceover artists. And I got nothing against it. If you can get away with that, good. But it's smoke and mirrors, my friend.
Guilty as charged.
Out with you then! Mea culpa! It is my fault that we allowed you in here. Now take those cold Lucomades and head towards the exit. Towards the egress, right? You know that story?
No.
Oh, that's a great story. So P.T. Barnum had this show in New York. It was a huge show and it was a quarter to get in, which was like a lot of money. But he had a show with the
okay.
bearded lady and the
Sure.
rubber man and the
Yeah,
geek
yeah.
and all that. And they had this huge sign that said, "This way to the egress." And nobody knew what egress meant. It meant the exit. And then they'd go out and they'd close the door on him. They say, "You want to get back in? It's a nickel." And they were fucking these people. It's really true. Yeah, this way to the egress. I thought that was pretty great. Exit. Stage left. Laughing already.
So that was an intelligence tax.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. Everyone that scored 1600 on their SAT had no problem with that. But to answer your question, James, I think a lot of it was the fact that I was such a mimic. You know, I'd hear somebody doing something and I could suck it in, you know? And it's
mean
and
absorb
that
it.
also happens with directing. You know, if you see someone directing that's a good director and you see what works for them, you know, in life, that's the darn thing. You can have all these great teachers, but can you take everything that they have from all of them? No. You take what works for you, right? Hopefully you do.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully you're able to build your own repertoire of how you do things. I find with directing, though, it's interesting. I always say there are three types of people that we work with in directing. There's the people that you have to push or compliment or, you know, "Oh, no, that wasn't very good. No, that was fine, but let's try another one. Maybe you could do this, you know." So you have to, in a sense, coddle.
Right.
And then there's some people, I know it sounds totally the antithesis of the way you think you'd want things to go, but some people that like be beat up. There's some people who say, "Hey, listen, come on now, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
Let's do it again and do it this." Okay. You know, I don't know if that's a learning style but there's some people that way. And then I love what I call the third category, which is the people that are so talented that you just sit back. They do what they do. You ask for another take. They do something else that's wonderful, and we move on. Right. You know? And
Any
even early in
examples?
their careers, it was people like Steve Bloom.
Yeah.
I work with quite a few people that have gone on to be huge in anime and in voiceover. And they all had it even at the start. It was just a matter of, you know, the Steve Blooms, Michelle Ruff, Kari Waldgren. These are people that I was there for every one of their first projects voiceovering.
Right.
It really was. And it was just happy to help them to excel.
Well,
they
again, we've talked about Steve before. I mean, his range is incredible, very much like yours. I mean, he can do super deep voice
he's
and
so
go,
great.
and in the same breath, pitch it right up to a squeaky.
I don't think
tone.
people realize, though, that he worked very hard to do that. You know, he was at home every night on that microphone. He started, I'm pretty sure about this, he was running videotapes back and forth from studios. He was a PA. He was a production assistant. And he just kept going and kept trying. And that's the thing is, so many people lose the idea that, number one, you got to be educated about what you're doing. Number two, you have to apply yourself. It doesn't just fall in your lap. For some people, they're very lucky that it does. And sometimes it's nepotistic. Of course, people are getting a better chance. But still, if you don't have it, typically you're not going to get to go any farther. You know, you might get one or two things. But being skilled at what you do, and the phrase I always use, I got it from Stephen J. Covey, which is sharpen the saw. You have to sharpen the saw every day. You have to work at it. You know, it's like you with your drawings and what you. I mean, that just doesn't happen naturally. You have to go, okay, I got to keep doing this, or whatever your methodology is to continue to improve. Because let's face it, you have to be the best.
Well, yeah, it's almost like how can I say it? It's like you need to do it. If I'm not working for my job drawing, I've got a sketchbook. I can't help it.
Right.
I sit at a cafe with my wife and I'm drawing, you know what I mean? And I feel lucky to have that.
Yeah.
So do you feel that same compunction to, like, you know, sharpen the saw, or what is it that you feel when you're trying to do that?
The answer to that question is usually what I do revolves around some sense of technology. And of course, this is all coming to the fray now with this artificial intelligence machine learning. Because before it was, you have to learn Photoshop, you have to learn Procreate. And people go, well, AI is just a tool. But the thing is Photoshop's a tool because it's something, it's like brushes, which are tools, right? It's like for your job, a microphone or a certain headset possibly. And these are tools. Artificial intelligence machine learning is not a tool. It is a replacement, I would suggest. And so with your question, my sharpening of the saw is to just keep sketching and keep that activity of using my eyes and brain to render using my hand, whether it be on the tablet or on a sketchbook. Now, as in the technological future, I don't know. And I'm wondering if that applies to you with voice work.
Oh, I honestly think, and I don't mean in any way to be negative, but I just think I live in reality. That's the way I am. I believe in reality. And I honestly think that I feel very sorry for these young people coming up, because I think in 3 years, it's going to be done. It's going to be done. They're going to be able to get you in there, have you say like a paragraph worth of stuff, and they'll have your voice.
I mean, you had that with, what's his name from DreamWorks? I can't remember his name. He made me so angry. Thin glasses. Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Jeffrey Katzenberg?
Is that what he said?
He was saying that in 3 years' time, animation, which uses 500 people at the moment, we'll do it in no time at all, and there'll be a small team.
Well, you know how it is. It won't be in no time at all. You know, they like to oversimplify that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't feel good about where it's headed, because I actually had a gig about 3 months ago. They said, oh, we want you to come and read a book on tape. And I hadn't done books on tape. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great. They go, I just wanted you to get just a sample. So it'll be like 3 hours, $250 an hour. So, hey, you know, I can get $750 for showing up for an evening, clearing my throat. Of course I'm going to do it. Right. So I went in there and I started doing it. And it was a lot of pages. It was like, honest to God, it was 50 pages.
Wow.
And I banged through 50 pages in an hour and a half.
Wow.
And I mean, I was going as hard as I could. Jeez. Boom, 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 boom. Because they said, when you finish, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, we're going to give you the money. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, let's fucking bang this shit out. There's no point in sitting around talking about the weather. Let's get it done.
Right.
So I did that. And then I got, oh, that was all great. Okay. But here, now what we'd like to do is we need to get some reactions from you. So what we'd like is we want to record 15 minutes of laughing from you. Oh. And immediately my shit detector went, 15 minutes?
What the fuck?
I've got about 4 laughs. How's it going to take 15 minutes? I said, well, you know, I don't really feel comfortable laughing that long. You know, it's kind of hard vocally. So how about if we just do 3 minutes of it? And they're like, okay. And I did all these different laughs for 3 minutes. And then they did the same thing with humming and little reactions like, And I started to realize, wait a second here. They're not going to use this for that piece I just did. Why are they getting samples of my voice? Because it became pretty obvious that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Did you get a look at their contract?
No. No, I didn't. But I know for a fact that that's what it was.
Oh, really?
And it was like, wow. So that's what that was about. And as you know, from being on the big projects, I've been on the big projects like you have, but on the big projects, there's all this non-disclosure. Well, we can't tell you, or here's the working title. And, Apple does that a lot with their stuff. Where I showed up for a commercial once and it was like, oh no, we can't tell you who the client is. We can't tell you this, can't tell you that.
Jesus.
And anyway, so I think in the future, I'm just going to have to say, what is it? I'm not showing up unless I know what it is.
Yeah.
No,
Because they're taking advantage of people because God knows, what do we all want to do? Oh my God, I want to work. I want to work so much. Oh, I want to please people. I want to be a star.
I wanted to ask you, as far as the strike being over now, do you know what's in that agreement?
I don't. I've been told by people, I think people think that SAG operates in our best interest. But how much do we know about unions? I don't know about you, but with the union, here's the deal. Yeah, but here's the deal. If we're going to accept something, don't we all get to vote on it? No.
Right.
Oh, no. The committee unanimously passed it.
Yeah.
Just like the committee unanimously took away my lifetime health plan 6 years ago.
What the?
Yeah, they decided, you know what? In our divine wisdom, we've looked at the numbers and we can't afford to give everyone a health plan anymore for life, so we're taking it away. Oh, and you know what? By the way, here's another thing. Those earnings you used to get on residuals, that really help out when you're older because you're not on current television? We're going to take those away as qualifying income for your health plan. So let's just take that bar and raise it about 18 feet higher.
Didn't they do something where they changed the qualifying date and you were so close to getting that date?
They've done that too.
The problem is, and I'm just going to put myself in the shit here, but the problem is with unions. It's another political organization where you're getting your money from a mini government.
Right.
We're all paying our fucking dues. And where does it go? These guys I know in unions are on 250, 100 grand a year. They've got their hours. What happens is they get rounded. The hard edges of wanting to help you get rounded off by comfort. And they want to keep those fucking positions. It's a joke, mate.
No,
it's
really
a joke.
But they've decided, for us. Right. It's interesting how they always want us to vote. Oh, please, you got to vote so we can have the strike authority. Then once you give them the authority, then you're out of it.
Right.
Because they settled the strike. We didn't. They didn't come back and say, here's what they're offering. People are still not clear what we got.
Right.
They really aren't.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, they said, this is our final offer. And then we're hearing, well, we didn't accept that.
Right.
But we got more. Well, what more did you get? Let's get specific here. What did you get for me?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you've had 6 months of businesses, not just us guys in the business, but all the surrounding trades. And these mofos are quite happy to just drag everything under the keel of the ship for this fucking deal that they could have done months ago. Yeah. It's political bullshit.
It is. It's sad. And the other thing, there's always that wonderful statistic that 5% of the Screen Actor Guild members make 95% of the money.
Yeah.
So here's the question. If that's the case, and Will Ferrell's making $20 million on a picture.
Right.
Why do we cap the dues on earnings at $200,000? We cap it so that anyone who makes over $200,000 pays the same as you and me.
Really?
Well, I mean, they don't pay the same, but what I'm saying is, shouldn't it be like 1% of 20 million?
Yeah.
It should be. But it's not.
No.
They cap it out at $200,000. So any of these big actors, they're not paying in their fair share.
No.
It's just like in the real world. It's a bunch of bullcrap.
How do you see yourself moving forward with this AI and everything and all that stuff? Is there a project that you'd love to do? Something, say, for example, Harry Potter. Would you love to be involved in something like that, or something, or a book that you really look at? There's a Netflix show, which unfortunately I've forgotten, but it's something about the light we don't see, and it's based on a book, and it's set in World War II, and it's about this diamond that's hidden from the Germans. And I read that book and I loved it, and I just saw it on Netflix. I'd love to have boarded that. I would love to have worked on it. Yeah. Do you have something like that, a prime project or something?
I really feel like more than anything, I need to write that book about my Chippendales experience, because there was so much that went on. And it became so just unbelievably weird with one of my bosses killing another one of my bosses.
Yeah.
And then what
Shocking.
happened subsequently, it was just, that's something that I need to take on because it's a part of my history. And the thing is that people have now done a couple of shows about it. And it's not exactly accurate what they put out there.
Right.
And I want to continue to direct for sure. I love directing people because I'm now at the age where my voice doesn't have the skills that it once did. I have vocal limitations from just being worn out, from just being old, and from the fact that your vocal cords are these little bands and they lose their flexibility after a while. So you're not able to do as much, just like great singers and stuff. That does happen. I'm not comparing myself to great singers. But when you're a director, you still get to be around all the new people and you get to be around all these talented people every day. And believe me, I encourage them and I just absolutely love them because there's nothing like being around real talent,
And young talent. I worked on
Yeah,
this
because it
show.
revitalizes you too as well.
It totally does. It totally
And
does.
also, however jaded we may get, you get someone who comes in there and has a fresh attitude. And you're like, wow, that's right. I remember when I was like that.
Yeah. You were talking about as you age, your voice and your vocal cords change. Do you have a regimen for looking after your throat, looking after your physicality? Because if I may say, it is a performance incognito. You have that ability to perform, but you've not got the cameras on you.
Right. Well, I was also lucky in when I first got to town, I decided I was going to do the Columbia School of Broadcasting. And somehow through that, I don't really remember how this exactly happened, but I made a connection. I got in a voiceover class. And the first voiceover class I got in was with Dawes Butler. And Dawes Butler was one of the big Hanna-Barbera guys. He was the voice of Elroy Jetson, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, Boo Boo Bear, Baba Louie. He was a lot of the voices. And anyway, I would go to his house in Beverly Hills, and I think he might have charged $50 an hour. He might have. But it was like one-on-one with a guy who'd been doing it for like 35, 40 years and was right at the top of his game. Amazing. And he was all about spoken word. He was all about the reading and understanding the literature and breaking down the text. And then he said, you need to go to this other class. I got over to the other class. And the other class were all the top pros of the time. There's a lady named Joni Gerber. She did the show called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. She used to do all these commercials. So that was when all of a sudden I realized, I'm not just doing this casually. Look at these people. They're really doing it. And in that class, there was this one guy. He's kind of a very quiet guy, talk like this. So I'd take a little break. And I said, hey, you know what? Easter's coming up. Or are you going anywhere for Easter break? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am, Mike. I said, where are you going? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go skiing. I go, that's great, Lorenzo. Where are you going skiing? I go, you going to Big Bear? Or you? No, I'm going to San Moritz. I'm like,
Nice.
and I'm like, whoa, wait. San Moritz? You mean like in Switzerland? Yeah, I stay at the San Moritz Hotel. You can practically ski into the lobby. It's really cool. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah. It was Lorenzo Music, the guy who does the voice of Garfield the cat, who produced Rhoda, for God's sakes. I was a huge guy. I didn't even know it. And I was hanging out among all these greats. I had no idea. But anyway,
incredible.
To answer your question is, I beat up my voice so hard, so many times, because I was known as a screamer. I was known as a guy that could do the really heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I worked on Gladiator, doing group. And
The movie?
Yes. And the first day, the group leader came and says, listen, Tony doesn't know that you're not British. So if you talk to him in a British accent. Because everybody that he had on it was British.
Yeah.
Poor blimey.
It was great. It was like, Joe Baker. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes.
Joe Baker, fantastic guy. Sweet as could be. Joe. Mwah. And you know what he used to do? He always would, instead of having on a business card, he had these tea bags made out.
Yeah.
Have a cup on with Joe. And he'd hand you his tea bag.
Oh, my God.
And he was on the Copycats. I don't remember.
Teabagged by Joe.
Exactly. I don't know if you remember that, but he was on a show called The Copycats. And it was him. It was Marilyn Michaels. It was Durwood Kirby. Not Durwood Kirby. Who is that guy?
Fact check.
Anyway, and he could do an American accent like nobody's business. But long story short, I worked on this thing for 6 days.
Okay.
And the opening battle scene is in Germania.
Yes.
And I believe it's about a 4-minute scene. Maybe it's not that long. But anyway, it took us a day and a half to do that one scene because we covered every person you saw on the screen. And, Tony Scott, he came in and when he heard it, he loved it. Anyway, Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott.
Oh, yeah. Tony Scott was...
Man on Fire and all
Yeah,
that
Top
kind of
Gun.
stuff. Yes. Yes.
Anyway, yeah, Ridley Scott. You're right.
Ridley.
I got my Scots wrong.
Ridley.
I don't believe it. I did not know my Scots. Anyway.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
So then we kept going
Not
and kept
Ridley.
going. There was all this screaming and crying. And,
Should we do a battle?
why not? Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, here we go. And actually, there is one place in the movie where you can definitely hear me because people always say, well, where can we hear you in the movie? There's one scene where there's a chariot rider inside the arena and the chariot flips and he goes
Yeah.
into one of those wooden structure there and you hear me go, ah! It's like my highest pitch scream ever. But anyway, so we're working on that and you're blowing it out, man. You can't hold back when you do that. And the way to work around that is to put breath in front of it and breath after it. But sometimes when someone's getting hit hard, you have to do what I call a hard attack, a glottal stop, a glot, And when you do that, those chords getting banged against each other like hammers. And so eventually what happens is your voice starts to wear out. Now, in the old days, I could yell all day. And now I can yell for about 20 minutes. And that's it. I'm done.
Wow.
I'm really done. So anyway, after the fourth day, Newell Alexander, who was one of the co-founders of the Mad Dogs, they're a great looping group. And God, what a great guy. Newell and Mitch Carter, super great guys. They gave me a lot of opportunities. And that's a part of the industry where it's very political. It's like, oh, you're a loop group leader and I'm a loop group leader. So let's just hire each other and that'll be it.
Right.
Right.
And there's a lot of that. So I'm bringing to the table nothing. I'm just an actor, right? And I wasn't even part of their regular group, but they would bring me in for things. So that, I really appreciated that. And a lot of times that's how I made my health plan, was working with them.
Sure.
But after about 4 days, he comes up to me and goes, hey, Mike, hi, are you available for tomorrow? Of course you're going to say yes, right? So I said, oh, yeah, I'm available, but I don't got much left. I really He put his hand on my shoulder. He goes, that's okay. You did a lot of heavy lifting today. You can just sit in the back and collect the check. And I mean, that's the
Awesome.
guy. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. They knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I really thanked them.
I can't remember if it was Beat 'em On or one of the other shows. And I think it was Brian Beacock, who's wonderful, wonderful voice actor. And
Bokelman.
we were having him do this scream that had to go on for a while, and we recorded him do maybe 2 or 3 takes, and his voice started to go. And Mike's like, why don't you just step out for a minute? And you went in there and you managed to do the scream and then put an extra push on the end of it.
Yeah, like a jet going. yeah. Ramp it up, so to speak. That's what I call it.
It was amazing, and you voice matched him really well.
Yeah.
But that was.
That reminds me of, God rest his soul, Bob Pappenbrook.
Oh, Bob Pappenbrook.
Bob Pappenbrook's this big guy. How you doing? I'm Bob. He was like just a big guy. He was so much fun. He was so full of mischief. He was just a hilarious guy. He's from San Diego. And his son, Bryce Pappenbrook, is a very famous voiceover person. He's on Demon Slayer. He's on all these shows. And he's the nicest kid in the world. I watched him grow up. Super, super intelligent, wonderful young man. I'm so happy for his success. Anyway, Bob and I were doing a pilot for a show for Saban, and it was actually Moncoli Nights.
Okay, yep.
And
That's the
originally, Bob was going to be the professor. It ended up being Jameson Price. But anyway, he was working all the time, and he came in, and there was one last cue at the end of it. And it was the professor goes, make way for the Moncoli Knights. It had to be like one of those big boom, bam, bing, da-da, done, right? And he had been working all day. He goes, make way for the Moncoli. Ah! And I'm like, okay, you can hit this. You can hit this. Come on, please, please, please. And he couldn't hit it. It was really sad. But that can happen. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. These producers go, oh, it's great how you scream. Just keep screaming. Oh, it's great. Well, hey, here's my little lecture about that. And I always say, nowadays, I really say it because you have to defend yourself. In the old days, they didn't have any OSHA. Now they have OSHA on it. It's a health and safety issue of you can't yell all the time, you'll wreck your voice. Right. But in the old days, they didn't give a crap about that. So I'd always say, here's the deal. My voice is a finite resource. And if you have me scream a lot at the top and then you want to do sensitive stuff at the end, it's going to sound like I've been screaming. So if we're going to do that, then let's do the dialogue first and we'll do the screams at the end.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good way to sort of bring things to a close.
Well, yes,
may I
there we
suggest.
go.
But one last question.
Yes, my wallet is a finite resource. I'm not taking you out. We are not going to Norm's.
We always have a little
Steak
something
dinner.
talking about.
Oh, yeah. So we have here a little parting gift for
Oh,
you.
what? Not enough? What?
Talking of wallet, because they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
But you could either have something like this,
Oh, I love
or
that.
you could have something like this in a mug.
Oh, I want the Grumblezilla.
He wants the Grumblezilla.
Oh, man, you have it. Oh, my God.
Because
Because
Grumblezilla.
you know, Mikey Godzilla. Of course I want
Well,
the
exactly.
Grumblezilla.
That's what I
Oh, that's
thought.
so great. That would be perfect.
Because
Thank you
we-
so much. That's
we-
so kind.
We have
I'm
found
sorry
out
about the ripping.
Oh my
Ripping
God.
and
His
ripping.
skin. Ouch. Oh, his poor skin.
because we've realised that with the mugs, is that if you take one of these, the wrong side of Hollywood mugs, when you put your lips on the edge, you're actually kissing my head. So you're probably better off.
I didn't think of that.
I think some heavy editing, kissing your head, lips.
My actual head.
I'd have to be loco modest to do that. Let me tell you right now. Thank you guys. I'm so appreciative of you having me in and being able to talk. And I hope I didn't offend anyone with anything I said. I spoke from what I really truly believe to be true, and I am an opinionated bastard.
No, we love you. And James is actually losing his British accent. Could you give him a little refresher, please?
Yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm James. I sound like I don't have all my marbles anymore. I think I'm actually from New Zealand. It's hard to tell with this accent, it's sliding around like a slip and slide.
Oh my God.
And that is Mikey's impersonation of me. I think he's wrong.
London Bridge!
It's falling
Oh,
down.
it's falling down. Oh, I got my Grumblezilla, king of the motors. Oh, what the hell are you doing to me? I want to go to the onsen. Where's the tonkatsu when you need it?
Mikey, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming in,
Michael.
man.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
buddy. Oh, thank you for this wonderful gift. Yay!
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much, James. Always my pleasure.
And we would love to have you on again at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Awesome.
That would be great.
And we'll
so
see
much.
you at
And
Christmas.
to everyone out there, remember one thing. Someday is not a day of the week. So don't put those things to the side that you really want to do. Put them right up front.
I think those are very wise words. Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Before we go, we bring you our
Fact check! Fact check! Fact check!
Fact check segment.
Here with the benefit of hindsight,
And editing.
we can own up to our mistakes.
Not really a fact check per se, just a little tickle. But just some clarity on an unfinished sentence Mike was saying. Rian Johnson went on to direct Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Thank you for clarifying that. As per The Hollywood Reporter on November 9th, 2023, Jeffrey Katzenberg predicted AI will cut the cost of animated feature films by 90% and went on to say, in quotes, "In the good old days, you might need 500 artists and years to make a world-class animated movie. I don't think it will take 10% of that 3 years from now."
It's a shame they're not cutting the executives. I bet AI could take a large chunk out of those beauties.
Hey, hold on, I used to be an executive.
Yeah. The Copycats was part of the ABC Comedy Hour that aired on ABC, American Broadcasting Company, in 1972. In addition to Joe Baker and Marilyn Michaels, the gentleman Mike was trying to remember was not Dermot Kirby. It was George Kirby, in addition to Rich Little, Frank Gorshin, and Fred Travellina.
Fun fact, guest hosts included Steve Lawrence, Orson Welles, Ed Sullivan, Raymond Burr, Robert Young, Debbie Reynolds, and Tony Curtis. And I have 1 degree of separation from the last two.
Ooh, 2 more friends you've yet to inform me of and never introduced me.
I'll explain another time. So, just want to say a big thank you to all our guests for 2023.
And our patrons.
And we also want to thank our listeners for tuning in and supporting us
Yes, this is our first year. We dipped our toe in. I think some people like what we're doing and we like what we're doing, and it's all been rather lovely, and we hope to continue into 2024, which should prove to be an interesting year.
Indeed.
So from James and Martin, aka Hoff and Prof, wish you health, happiness and peace.
And a spectacular 2024 and beyond. Thank you very much.